welcome to another episode of the Behind the Scenes. It seems like this is a tradition with me doing these videos. Every time I do one, I have to adjust my microphone. It's almost like my lucky rabbit's foot, I guess, but it's like every freaking time I sit down, I have to adjust this damn microphone. So let's try this again. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Behind the Fiends. This is your host, John Evans, or your buddy, John. I hope everybody is doing fantastic. I guess you might be wondering what Mr. Leatherhead's doing right here front and center. Well, he is the focal point of today's discussion. I just happened to have gotten done watching a screener of the new fan film, The Sawyer Massacre, that's being written, directed, and produced by a Canadian friend of mine, Mr. Steve Merlo. Now, the thing about Steve, I happened to meet him by happenstance. It was one day at work. I was on lunch break, and I always like to go on to bloodydisgusting.com or iHorror just to look at horror news, movie news in general. And I saw this article that said that Joe Bob Briggs was doing a shout out for a new Texas Chainsaw Massacre film that was going to be shot in Texas. It was like one of the first ones to have been shot in Texas in forever. Primarily Texas. I would guess Steve's movie is the second Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie to be filmed primarily in Texas. The first being the 1974 classic. So, me being a huge Texas Chainsaw Massacre fan, I clicked on that article and started reading it and watched the Joe Bob shout out, and I just was like, this looks to be one of the most awesome things I have seen in a very long time. So, I did a lot of searching and finally came across Steve's profiles on Instagram and Facebook. He's more active on the IG. And I just kind of cold called him, as they say in Hollywood, but it was more of a message. And asked him if I could do a shout out for the film or the project on the podcast back when me and Luke were primarily just an audio podcast. And he said, sure, that would be fantastic. And in the process of that, I went on to become an associate producer on the film, and Behind the Fiends went on to become a sponsor. So after that, me and Steve just kind of developed a friendship out of that love for this classic film. And then I got to meet Scotty Parkin, who plays Leatherface in Steve's movie, and so many others. Steve and Scotty are like the only two I've really gotten to know. I haven't really gotten to meet anybody else. I want to interview some of them, especially Nicolo, or Lau, however you say your name. I'm sorry if I messed it up. I do that a lot. But I would love to talk to her. She is going to be a great actress. Just gonna put that out there. She really, it seems to come easy to her just from watching her in Steve's movie, but I'll get to that here in a minute when I do the review. And I'm not going to get too technical with you all because I am not a professional reviewer. I am just a fan, a lover of films, so I don't know all this technical jargon and bullshit. So I'm just going to give you the nitty-gritty of a regular guy who likes to watch flicks. But okay, guys, before I get too much really into the review, how about I let you guys watch the trailer for the Sawyer Massacre? So, without any further ado, lick it, flick it, and stick it.
Here we are, boys. My uncle's cabin.
Not bad, Brant. What about AC, though?
How do you think he's doing?
Jimmy really needs this weekend, man.
So, Jimmy, what's this soul searching you're doing?
That something personal happened to me a few months back.
Jimmy, I'm so sorry.
We had ourselves a little setback.
Just leave me out of it.
Do you have any food here?
You guys are hungry, huh?
What do you sell in your store?
You're gonna have to go see my grandpa.
Where is he?
Hey, he's not far. He's got everything you need.
Girls, stay close.
This is the place.
Is this somebody's too?
Adeline, put that down.
Brant, is that you?
This is my house.
Hey, what are you doing now?
What the hell is he on? We have to go.
What do you want?
You're very strong. You won't die. Yet. Get away from her.
I need you to save your strength, okay? I'm not gonna let anything happen to you, Allie.
So here's the thing, guys. This movie comes out on October 21st. There's currently a campaign still running on Indiegogo. I will put the link to it down in the description below. We have a t-shirt that is available. I am doing a collab with Steve for the movie. You guys want one of those shirts? They're going to be in my store on the GoWillClothing.com. That will be in the description. Go grab you one of them shirts, because all the profits for that, I'm not making a dime off of it. Steve's not making a dime off of it. The entirety of all the profit for those t-shirts is going directly to this film to help it get everyone and everything paid for. But let's get into the review. So what I got to see was the screener. Now with the screeners, this is normally the film before the final edit's been done, right? So there's things that I got to see that's probably not going to be in the final cut, and some scene, well, Steve's not going to be able to do reshoots. That takes a lot of money. So they're going to have to take that 9 days worth of film footage that they have, and they got to make it work. They got to make it work. But they also just did the premiere back in August. I wanted to go, missed out on it because of my kidney issue that I had back in July. I was so bummed about that. But the film, if you want something that feels entirely like the 1974 film, this is it. Clearly, hands down, there's no arguing it whatsoever. This is it. This is a complete love letter to Tobe Hooper, Kim Hinkle, Gunnar Hansen. You can go on and on. It has the feel, the aesthetic, the soundtrack and the lack thereof. Like in the 1974, it was all about ambient noise and how it played on your psyche. You know, just all these different things that you heard, like cowbells mixed in with static from a radio, or just different things. And Steve does that in this as well. And then there's some music, which the 1974 didn't really have much of. And the pacing of the film is awesome. The character development, which was something that Steve's doing in this movie that wasn't done in the 1974. Because in 1974, we just met a van full of hippies who were on a road trip, and that was really all we knew about them outside of Marilyn Burns and Mr. Franklin. I keep forgetting that actor's name, so he's just Franklin. But outside of them, we didn't have much of a backstory. Just that bunch of guys in a mystery machine van, and they went out to go to Texas for whatever, and they all pretty much got killed except for Marilyn Burns. That was it, Sally Hardesty. Steve took the time for every character in this movie to give them some sort of backstory, to, you know, flesh out their personalities and who they are and why they're there. But this is where my first nitpick comes in. My first nitpick had to do with Rex, played by William R. Instone, was originally supposed to be played by Ed Neal. So this is where I kind of give a pass to this, because Steve was supposed to have Ed Neal in the film playing the part of Rex, and because Ed was SAG, Steve was unable to use him, so he had to bring in William Instone. So it kind of felt like everything with Rex was kind of rushed, and it's totally understandable. But what got me was how everybody that came to the store would meet Drayton, played by Bill Housekeeper, and fantastic job too. I mean, he totally nailed Drayton Sawyer. But the Rex character just seemed to slow down the plot at times. Like it would get going, and then the scenes with him would slow it down, and I feel like maybe that was because Steve had to rush to remedy that situation with Ed Neal. And here's my thing. That was the only gripe I had with this movie. After that, perfect. I have no complaints. If I had to say my standout actors/actresses in this film, I would have to go with Nika Lau. I would have to go with Bill Housekeeper. I would have to go with Scotty Parkin. Scotty, you made Gunnar proud. Promise you, buddy. You made Gunnar Hansen proud. And this young fella who just won me over with his portrayal of Schizo, Vitor Pericini. Young man, you made Ed Neal proud. He played that character perfect. I wanted more of him. I wanted more of him on screen. I felt like the dynamic between him and Drayton there should have been more of that, in my opinion, because them two had a chemistry, very, very great chemistry together. And then you had Les Best as Grandpa, and my God, he's sinister. I mean, you even look at just his IMDb photo. Les Best has a sinister look about him. He's got that what I call the Vincent Price look. The thing that got me with the whole process is they shot this movie in 9 days. On top of the 9 days, they had so many things that went wrong for them, much like the Tobe Hooper production. They were supposed to have vehicles that were supposed to be supplied for them to get to and from the shoot. That person ghosted them. They had, I think they had a special effects person that ghosted them, catering that ghosted. I mean, there was so many setbacks. And the fact that Steve got this movie made is remarkable and says something about him in terms of being a leader and a filmmaker. Because that's right, Steve, you're the captain of the ship, man. You held it together. I also got to give a shout out to Mr. Charlie Brady. Like I said, I don't know all the technical terms, but Charlie Brady it kept me engaged on the film from the very beginning all the way to the end. His shot selection, because the way you shoot a film is also the way you tell the story. I mean, it's not just script, it's visual as well. It's like a living comic book. So the panels that he supplied with his eye and Steve's direction, it was just... When you look at the history of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and you take away the 1974 classic, the masterpiece, and even part 2, which to me is a very flawed movie and it's more spoof than anything, but I get it. Tobe Hooper wanted to do something different with it, whatever. But it seemed like after that, everything that we got from that point on was just bad. And it got worse and worse. And then we got this Netflix movie here in 2022. And look, if you all like that film, fine, you know, it's all on you, but it wasn't Texas Chainsaw Massacre to me. It was a parody of. It wasn't Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Not in the least. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the beauty of that film was everything was about atmosphere and implied violence. You didn't see a bunch of gore on screen. You didn't see people being mutilated. But when you walked out of the theater, which I wasn't born when it came out, but just imagining those theater goers in 1974, every one of them that walked out of that theater, my mother included, who went to the drive-in and seen the movie when it came out, said that it was the bloodiest, goriest movie they'd ever seen. And that was the magic. It mind-fucked you. It made you think that this was the worst thing that you had ever seen in your entire life. And that's what Steve has done with this movie. If you're a gore hound, you're going to be disappointed. This ain't Terrifier or Terrifier 2. It's not like that. But the atmosphere, the feelings of dread and doom, the heaviness of everything that's going on as the plot progresses, that subtle soundtrack and the ambient noise and everything going on gives you that feeling of being confined in this box or in just this death maze, and this madman with a human skin mask is coming after you with a chainsaw. And it resonates in that part of your brain that when you walk away from it, and it did the same with Sawyer Massacre. That's what I'm saying. With Sawyer Massacre, it resonated with that part in my brain where I thought I'd watched the goriest movie ever, and when I reviewed the screener for Steve, I remember I put in it, there was too much gore, too much violence. And then when I went back and watched it the second time, I was like, John, why did you even write that in your screener review, that too much gore and too much violence? It wasn't that bad. It really wasn't. And I got mind fucked. It happens. But that is the beautiful thing about it. Like I said, outside of the whole Rex story, kind of slogging here and there with the plot, not enough Drayton and Schizo. I wanted more of that, but that's just me being, my personal preference. If I had to give this movie a Swayze, I know people are going to say, well, you're attached to it as a producer and a sponsor, so you're not going to be... No, I'm going to be biased. If I had to give it a Swayze, I am giving it a solid 4 Swayzes out of 5. Because this is the greatest Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie I have ever seen, even if I wasn't selling shirts for it or a producer for it or a sponsor for it. This is where it's at. So Steve and the rest of the cast and crew, you all did a fantastic job. You honored the source material. You honored the legacy. You made Tobe Hooper very proud, and Gunnar Hansen and Marilyn Burns. You honored everyone that was part of this classic, that brought it to life almost 50 years ago. Your dedication to it, your love and passion on set to see this thing through when adversity was facing you every day. And even when Scotty got pulled over in his Leatherface makeup by a Texas cop. I'll have to get Scotty on to tell that story sometime. But even through all those trials and tribulations, you gave us, the fans of this beloved franchise, that to me is the gold standard in horror movies. You did it proud. Well, guys, keep a lookout. October 21st, Sawyer Massacre drops on YouTube. If Steve allows me, I may do a live stream where me and Luke will watch it and give a little commentary. But that's only if Steve will allow me to do so, because it is his baby. I will come back and do a spoiler review once the movie has released, because I'm sitting here dying wanting to tell you all some of the scenes and I can't do it. I'm going to put the Indiegogo links down here. I'll put Steve's Instagram link in there. Anybody wants to give him a follow to keep up with the film. And I'm going to put the link down in there for this t-shirt, because I want you guys to buy one and have a part of Texas Chainsaw Massacre history by wearing some of our swag. Anyway, guys, can't stress it enough. This movie, I think, is going to be what kicks in the door for indie horror to take back horror. That probably made no fucking sense whatsoever, but hopefully y'all get what I'm getting at. But anyway, guys, this has been your old buddy John, and I'll see you again next time on Behind the Fiends. Ooh, ooh, ooh.